The Go Radio Business Show with Trywire.com.
Good morning, Willie.
Good morning, Tom.
Well, let's start with another bit of great news. The great news just keeps coming on the Go Radio Business Show. Another AI investment, this time in Irvine. And I can actually see it from my office window in Dundonald, where this is going to be. AI Pathfinder, which is a subsidiary of a property development company called Salamanca Investment. They have bought this big site, 13-acre site in Irvine, just behind my offices.
Yeah.
And they're going to put in an initial £385 million for AI infrastructure. And they think that they might be able to put in up to £15 billion because they're going to build a park and AI companies are going to come in. There's going to be the power, which I think we're going to talk about later on in the show.
Yeah.
But once again, this is great for jobs. It's great for growth. And just a wee shout out to Alan Gemmell, the MP for Central Ayrshire.
Good guy, Alan.
There, Alan has been working tirelessly behind the scenes with North Ayrshire Council to bring this to fruition. So in my backyard, I'm delighted.
Brilliant. And it's great news, obviously, for Ayrshire, right? And I think because we could certainly do with a lot more jobs in Ayrshire in the private sector, right? Yeah. But what this is amazing is that there's been a lot of announcements we announced last week about the one in Lanarkshire.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see who gets first spade in the ground and who gets working. But I read an interesting story about it the other day there. I mean, obviously, these are all like 1 million square foot, big units.
Yeah. I
read the other day that I'm interested in this Australian guy who's set up as the guy who's going to construct them all and going to build them all, and they've all piled in with their Nvidia's bought into this guy's company.
I see, right, aye.
But the guy's like a 2-year startup.
I did read that, Willie.
Right, and they're plowing hundreds of millions into him.
They seem to be putting a lot of stock behind this guy.
Yeah.
But
he's never built one.
No, I know. So a wee bit worrying. But what do you think about the power? Because the energy to run AI, it's something incredible. Microsoft in the States are building their own mini nuclear plants.
Which they have to do.
Now, with the current government, Labour government, we have got Ed Miliband, who had banned any more North Sea development, but there might be some changes there. Nobody's been able to explain to me, Willie, how we still have a demand for what comes out of the North Sea. Therefore, while we're paying off people in Scotland, we're importing the same hydrocarbons and helping somebody else's economy. I don't understand that. Yeah. And also nuclear, we've talked about it in the past, Willie. It's got to be part of the mix. The current SNP government have got a ban in Scotland and on nuclear. We've got one left at Torness, and it produces enough power to power 2 million homes, but it finishes in 2030 and then no more. Yeah. Now, technology is moving forward. I think the Scottish Government should change their mind because the facts have changed. Yeah. I think Ed Miliband should change his mind. What do you think?
Let me go back to your original question about the power it takes to fire them up and to run them. So there is no doubt it'll be interesting to see what happens in Irvine and how they're going to address that problem, right? So how do you get the huge amount of energy that is required and water? There's a lot of water involved
for the
as well.
Cooling, Willie.
Exactly, right? So it'll be interesting to see how we can make that work. But it's great. It's great it's happening in Ayrshire. It's great it's happening in Lanarkshire. I'm got no doubt there'll be more and more popping up everywhere. But the big question is how do you generate the power? Right, and it'll be interesting to see how they're going to do that in Irvine. Are they going to have to do like what you say that Microsoft or Google or anybody has to do, build their own power stations?
Yes,
right? Saying it takes half of a nuclear reactor to build one of these.
Unbelievable.
But I think that back to your further point, right? The deeper point about the transition, right, and what we're promising, what we've said. Here's what we need to do when it comes to trying to get to 100% clean. I mean, you can't wait until we get there.
Yeah.
We would all love to be 100% clean energy, right? But we need to be absolutely realistic about the time frame for this transformation. right? And the problem that we've got here is governments, politicians stand up and put a big anchor around their neck by 2030, by 2035, and we are never. Why don't we have a 50-year plan to get from there to there to get to net zero, right? And try and achieve that rather than...
So why do you think we don't, Willie? Is it just politics and votes?
Announcements.
Is it?
Banner headlines.
That's disappointing because people are getting paid off while we import the same hydrocarbons because we need them.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on at the government. I don't know what's going on in it, right? But I honestly believe there's going to be a kind of pivot in relation to the North Sea.
You get a feeling?
I get a feeling, reading between the lines, that we're going to have to ease back a bit on what we said. And I think, honestly, we need to sit down with the people who are pushing for the end of fossil fuels immediately and all that. So talking to the Greens and saying, look, we've got a credible plan here. Because I think the people are fed up, right, with the mixed messages.
I think the voters are fed up, Willie.
Vote up. That's what I mean, the people, the voters. So 5 years ago, we've talked on this in the show, 5 years ago, everybody couldn't wait to rush out and get an electric car to do their bit and get their bit. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
And because of now they know the cost. Right. And say, well, what am I doing when China's still doing nothing about it? So what we're doing is we're a wee pimple in the back of an elephant's bum. Right. Why is everybody else no doing anything? Right. We need to keep that phrase going every week, Sam. I think that for us, we need to have a serious look at it and we need to be honest. We need to be honest about the financial ramifications, about the job losses, and how do we get this transformation across? How do we get from fossil fuels into clean energy? And we're making huge strides.
Yes.
We don't need to shut the North Sea down to do that, right? But gradually somebody told us, somebody was on the show, says we'll still be decommissioning the plants in 100 years.
Yes.
Right, so people who know, I think that what we need to do is have a reset. Like I've said, we need resets and other things that we need to have. Now we're in, we rush in, we make announcements.
Yeah.
The reality kicks in, and then we shouldn't be afraid to tell the people, here's what we think now.
Well, one thing about Scotland, Willie, is that if Scotland was a business, it would be a small business.
Yes.
And we love small businesses. You've got a big business, but we love small businesses because they're agile, they can change, they can disrupt, they can pivot. Yeah. And therefore, I would like to see Scotland say, okay, things are moving so fast here, Willie, that you might come out with a policy, but it might be out of date by the time you come to implement it. And I think politicians should be brave enough to go, well, that was okay then. Things have changed, like nuclear. You know, all around the world, countries are going to nuclear. The tech has moved on. It's safer. It's clean. It is clean energy. And other countries are doing it. Scotland seems to put a flag in the ground and not change their mind. Yeah. I don't think that's good politics. It's no good for Scotland, and we need to change.
Here's my advice to, especially to my own party, the ministers, to Keir, to Rachel, to everybody, right? Do not rush to set targets. Because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to fail. I cannot believe the last time that anybody made a target, whether it be on immigration, whether it be on energy, whether it be on housing. It'll be interesting. I don't know where the 1.5 million houses came from, right? But the experts are telling you that'll be impossible to meet. So why would you set a target where someone can say then that you failed?
Yeah.
Like, what you say is,
that's bad politics.
We're going to do our best and we're going to build more houses than was built before. Yeah. Right. That's all you have to do. And I'm saying the same with energy. But we've said it before. You made the point. Although we're saying we're small enough and we can pivot and we're flexible, right? And that's brilliant. We could be at the forefront and lead the world in clean energy. Yeah? But we just need a sensible plan and a timescale to get there.
So I think if you and I were running Scotland, and I'm glad we're not actually, because it's the hardest job, but we'd be saying, right, what we're going to do is we're going to get the experts on our side and we're going to come up with a plan and we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
You know, not come out with some ludicrous figure that the experts straight away say, are you kidding me? Yeah. That's bad politics, Willie, as well as bad business and as well as bad for Scotland. So come on, let's listen to the experts, Scottish Government, and change your mind when the facts change.
As they would say, Tom, every time you set a target, you're being hung by your own petard.
Petard, I love that, Willie. You're coming out with these today.
I was up night school this week. Right, so you
just a quick story. When I invited Willie to do a talk at Strathclyde University, and we had all the great and the good sitting there, and Willie's opening line was, I have been to every university in Scotland. I went, wow. He said, I've been to St Andrews, I've been to Glasgow, now I'm in Strathclyde. I was in sorting the fridges right enough, which got a good laugh, Willie.
And I never get paid off any of them. I get mad. So, okay, we're going to mention this briefly and we're going to skip over it, right? I've got into enough trouble this week. Celtic FC.
You're going to talk about Celtic?
They're in the news this week.
My goodness.
Right? Fantastic results. Profits of 45.7 million. Basically, financially, it's a great result, but the fans are clamouring to see they like the money in the stock room rather than in the bank. So I'm going to leave it at that.
I think you once said to me, Tom, football's like no other business. If you're doing well in the balance sheet and not in the park, you're not doing well.
It's the only business in the world where you cannot build in success.
You cannot build in success?
No, because the bar gets moved every time you do better.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
So I don't know anything about the business of football, but anyway, good luck to both, to all teams in Scotland.
I'm sitting on the fence. What about the Minister, Ivan McKee? He's unveiled plans this week to change a law around compulsory purchase orders. And this will be interesting, which is 2 centuries old. It allows the government to force the purchase of sale of land or buildings in the interest of public improvement. The Minister intends to change the rules surrounding its use to bring them in line with modern practices and to make it easier for projects to get the green light. Is this the sort of day-to-day regular action that we need at the moment to move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my specialist subject, Willie. Ivan McKee's a good guy. He's one of the few in government who has real-life business experience.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of that in there.
Yeah.
So if Ivan thinks it's something he should be spending his time on, fair enough. There's plenty of other things he could be spending his time on, which I think might produce better results. But hey, if he thinks it's good on.
So while we're talking about the government and while we're on this, I see also as well a few that the living rent and the Scottish Chancellor are having a right go at the government for their policy on housing and their announcements.
Because we thanked them last week, but I didn't quite understand it was still going through the judicial process or the parliamentary process.
All I would say to them is the Minister, Mary McCallum's just in post.
Right.
Let's give her a chance. Let's see what she comes up with, but let's not run out at the moment and say things are not working. Right?
Yes.
We've got a brand new broom. Let's see how it works. Right? Let's judge her how she, and let's try and help her. Right? Let's try. Loads of people should feed in and see what we can do. We've said it in the past. Mary, we're here, dying to help you in any way that we can. But I'm just saying to the guys that are complaining this week, give it a wee bit of time.
Let's make the housing crisis the simplest we can. Mm-hmm. The way to solve it is build more houses.
Yes.
Putting rent caps puts a cap on the investment. I went to see Kate Forbes when this was going through and I said, look, here is hundreds of millions of pounds that are not coming to Scotland on the build to rent because the regulations, they're going to Newcastle, they're going to Manchester, they're going to Birmingham because it's better investment. They are building more houses down there than Scotland. Yeah. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Change the law, get more houses built, solve the housing crisis. So good luck, Mary. Stick to your guns.
Yeah, and I also think as well that the voters, the people, right, the things at the moment, there's a lot of noise run about immigration. There's a lot of noise run about, getting to green fuel, the whole bit. What the people are hurting with the most, the voters, as you called them earlier, right, is that there's a cost of living crisis at the moment. And a lot of that is down round about the cost of your house. Yeah. But a big part, and the thing that I'm being told that people are complaining about in the doorstep more than anything, is the cost of their energy.
Energy.
Right.
Right.
So what I'd say to Ed Miliband and MD guys, We promised the people we would try and save them 300 quid a year. How are we getting on with that? And how are we going to demonstrate it? How can we do that quickly? How can we get to the people of Scotland right now and say, look, you know, we've got a plan, right? And what is the plan to try and get people's energy prices down?
And a question for Ed this morning, whatever happened to GB Energy? Anyway,
Yes.
we'll leave it there. So I think we're on a roll here, Willie, because the Go Area Business Show is championing growth and jobs.
Yeah.
And here's an idea this morning, right? So your friend and not mine, President Trump, after he's on about paracetamol, I don't know who puts this in his head. Yeah. You and I were talking about this morning, but one area of growth, let's turn the tables on Trump.
Yep.
He has come out, now there's a visa in America for really talented people, mainly in tech, called an H-1B visa, right? And it used to cost, well, up until this week, it cost $2,000. And the employer, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, this is big talent, big brains. 71% of them came from India, Willie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you just never know where Trump's going. He's maybe fallen out with Modi, the president, Prime Minister of India. You just never know. So Trump, in one fell swoop, said, no, these visas now are not $2,000, they're $100,000.
Yes.
So you can imagine everybody who's sitting there going, oh my God, what are we going to do? So why doesn't Scotland, why doesn't the UK say, we want you, these highly talented people, come to Scotland, come to the UK, bring your brains, because we need you. And let's make it very simple. We currently have a thing called a high skill visa, but it's quite bureaucratic. I think the Labour government's looking at streamlining it.
Yeah.
Let's make it the easiest thing in the world for really talented people. We need them for all this AI investment. Yeah. And let's say to Trump, you don't want them, we do. What do you think?
I'd go further than that.
Go further.
If we can demonstrate that these people, highly intelligent, they would bring a lot more here, their nous would actually create employment, let's help them relocate here. Aye. Let's pay for their relocation to come to the UK, never mind charging them $100,000.
Well, we could build them a house if it was economically viable.
Exactly. Right, so that's another thing, that we need to build the houses for them. But I couldn't agree with you more. Right, this is another barrier to attracting talent. Right, and I've got to be honest with you, I don't know who feeds this into the president and he comes away with these things, and I'm sure that they might think it's a golden visa and the big companies can cut through and bring in a few people. But if you want to attract loads of people to come here, right, then I totally agree that we should make it easier. But instead of that we're all in the streets fighting about people we think who are coming who don't bring it into the party, right, which is another debate. But now we've got people here who would certainly bring loads to the party, right? That they would help you.
Amazing.
It'd be amazing. So that is another way how Scotland is small enough again. I don't know whether that is a devolved power or not, but I totally agree with you that would be a great idea.
So there you are, First Minister, Prime Minister, make our country attractive to the brains around the world. Yeah. We want the brains. Right. So another thing about growth and jobs, Willie, we talked last week about Next with Simon Wolfson coming out with statements saying that the Employment Rights Bill was going to make it more difficult, less competitive. Yeah. I was reading this week in the hospitality and retail sector, and we're both investors in the hospitality sector. So hands up, we do have a vested interest here. But what they were saying was vacancies in that sector are down 35%, but applications are up 70%. So people do want to work.
Yeah.
You might read the Daily Mail and think everybody's work shy in Britain or Scotland. They're not. People are looking for jobs, but less jobs about. You've been on this for a long time. And the hospitality and retail took the major brunt of the NI increase. Let's face it.
Yes.
These were the sectors that really got hit. Yeah. And I think what we should be doing in the show, in the run-up to the budget, is to come up with some ideas for Rachel Reeves.
Yeah.
The first idea is don't tax jobs anymore.
Yeah.
No country in the world has ever taxed its way to growth.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, please, no more tax on growth.
I would just like to add to that, and I've been public about this, about how I haven't, some of the things that we've introduced in the past 14 months since we took over have not went down well. And they certainly haven't, I would say, haven't delivered growth, right? But we've still got time, right? We've still got time, and I'm crying out to Keir and Rachel and everybody else, look at what we've done, look at what's worked, look at what hasn't worked, and be big enough to say, we got that wrong, which they've done, and a couple of times they've done a wee reverse on the fuel allowance. Just look at all of that and say, be honest about what we think we've achieved. We're on the ticket of we're going to be the party of growth. And if we don't think it's been enough, what can we do? Let's come up with new ideas to see what we can do, because what we certainly need across the whole country is growth.
Yeah, growth. So just to finish off this segment, can I have a wee plug for the Hunter Foundation's Scale Up 2.0 programme?
Yeah.
We're recruiting businesses now to start in January.
Yeah.
So the 2.0 Scale Up is for businesses with real ambition about growing, about creating jobs right here in Scotland. You've got to have turnover, about 7.5 million, but you really want to have to grow it. Yeah. And what we do is we take you down to Blair. We bring brilliant speakers like Willie. Maybe you want to internationalise your business. And Willie is very good at talking about how to internationalise. You're working all around the world. So we bring speakers who have been there, did it and done it. But the real benefit you get is the network of other entrepreneurs that you sit side by side. Yeah. So please, if you think you're into it, starting in January, go to the Hunter Foundation website. Let's grow Scotland.
And I can absolutely testify to the fact that this is one of the best initiatives that Scotland's ever had. It plays a huge part in the conveyor belt, and I would recommend to anybody who's thinking about it to find out more about how you can join Scale Up.
What he said.
The Go Radio Business Show with TryWire.com.
Tom, we special guest today because I believe, Anna Stewart, this will be the first time that M1's ever been on the show twice.
I did
Twice?
Not know
Twice?
that.
Yeah.
Oh, now.
We got you back
twice.
again.
I'm feeling very honoured.
Anna is the new Chief Entrepreneur for the Scottish Government. She's had a big upgrade since the last time we've seen her, and we're absolutely delighted that she's joined us this morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Willie and Tom. Thank you for having me again.
Welcome to the show, Anna. So, you are entrepreneur. So, what's the title? Give us your real title.
I don't know. I'm just a Chief Entrepreneur for Scottish Government, but
that sounds good
it sounds good, doesn't it?
Now, is that an oxymoron?
Well, some people might say I'm just an advisor to Scottish Government, but
I don't. I think you get your voice heard.
I think they're listening, and I think there's genuine. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could do something useful and be useful. And there's definite engagement and appetite to try and do something.
So you did a big thing last week.
Oh yeah,
tell the viewers and listeners a bit about that.
That was humbling and amazing at the same time. It was something called the Female Founders Growth Summit that I launched last year off the back of the Pathways report in partnership with some of the best sort of female-led organisations in terms of membership organisations. And we brought London to Scotland. We brought, hopefully, loads of amazing founders from Scotland to Edinburgh. And we basically promoted the idea of how to scale that business, how to scale a business and super scale it.
Right.
So it was really focused on women that are scaling.
So I've had some great feedback.
Well, good.
Well, so I don't think that would have happened without you. So there you are. You've made a difference straight away.
Yeah.
And, we were very proud to help you with that.
Very
in the Hunter Foundation. And so what do you think, we do conferences as well, and we always do a debrief, and we always say, right, what's the lasting impact of this? And I'm hard on myself. What do you think?
Lasting impact. I think I just want in women entrepreneur, because this was an entrepreneurship event for women.
Yeah.
Focused on women. However, I so want more men to get involved and engaged in that, because without your engagement, then it's harder to kind of to get through the barriers that still exist. However, there were some great advocates, male advocates there, and there were powerhouses of women that you've had on your show already, people like Sam Smith from Superscalers that have scaled their businesses past 50 million. We had them in the audience, we had them on stage, we had them with their inspiring stories. That there was no negativity. It was actually empowering them to go, this is how we're growing, here's our challenges. And there was no ego. The egos were parked at the door, if there were any, and everyone just came in going, let's collaborate, let's share ideas, because there's a growing network of female founders that are scaling. But, we're still, last year there was only like 83 female founders in the UK that had ever got to 50 million.
Really?
Yeah. So we're already, Sam Smith announced through Superscalers that they've already doubled that. We're getting many more female scaling businesses that are targeting 50 million and beyond. So we've got amazing Jamie Genevieve, who's on stage with her CEO, a fantastic Scottish scale-up, who's, trailblazing in the beauty space. So there was
Do you
fantastic.
think putting it out there, giving the confidence, because, you and I spoke about it when you were doing your Pathways report. When we run our scale-up programs, they are better when female entrepreneurs are on them.
Yeah.
I don't see male and female, I see good entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about this.
Yes.
But sometimes women don't apply and it's all male and it's not as good.
Yeah.
Because, when strong female entrepreneurs come onto the programs, they have a different point of view. And it's diversity of thought that I care about. So when you said you're doing a female-only program, I was thinking, right or wrong, but I understand you're coming from behind with the stats, therefore you've got to almost give it a turbocharge.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
In an ideal world, if there wasn't a problem, we wouldn't be doing these summits.
Sure.
We wouldn't be doing these other programs. We wouldn't have written the Pathways report.
I'm with you.
But I mean, one of the things, just to add to what you said about the diversity of thought piece and how important it is to have diversity. Diversity means all types of people. It doesn't mean just women, just men, or just, different backgrounds. It's the mix that creates the innovation.
It does.
And ultimately delivers better ROI. And we're seeing that. I mean, McKinsey, all the latest reports are saying, the return on investment to shareholders in these bigger corporates are much, much greater when you have diverse leadership teams. But one of the challenges, I think, by the way, in my new role with government is getting diverse leadership. And I don't mean just, as I say, gender. I'm talking about just different types of people with the caliber that we need in Scotland to get those companies from small startup to scale up to, super scaler.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It's massive challenge.
The talent.
There's only 4 in 10 companies that are scaling in Scotland have boards. That's 6 in 10 in the UK, but 4 in 10 in Scotland. There's serious challenges around finding the right people for your leadership team.
So do you think, and it's something that we've spoke about for a number of years, if we are seriously trying to help, and women get to the next level, right? So we see loads of people, we see loads of women within East Park, an entrepreneurial hub, whatever it's called now. But when you get to scale up too, as you say, there's not as many. So a lot of people, maybe people are happy with the size of the business, don't want to get to that level. But the point you made there, which is a good one, is about boards.
Yeah.
So I've been saying to Tom for many years, is there something that we can do to help with that by, we put see the board you can't afford. Say we turned that into a board and we invited, instead of having one guest on, that we invited 4 women to come, in for a show once a month, whatever it might be, and have a bona fide, a half hour talking to them to give them advice, doing whatever they're doing. Do you think that would help at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a challenge for all our scale-ups. I don't actually think it's just an issue for women, by the way. So, but there aren't enough women on board, so we definitely need to encourage them. But I mean, the summit, we had some of the fastest growing businesses in Britain, led by women, and female chairs, which is incredible. It's caliber, and it's making them visible and getting their engagement, and as well as just strengthening our board capacity for all our scale ups. So I really think it's a, that 4 in 10 is not a female only issue. That's all Scottish businesses.
I believe as well. You're right, and it's funny you bring this up, and I had never thought about this, but there's loads of companies, SMEs, right, who you have board members but never have board meetings. Yeah. Right. So it's just only because technically, legally, you need to say you've got directors. But I only started having board meetings after 10 years in business when I got Free Eyes involved. Right, so they say, we just can't call your board a board member when you don't have a board meeting.
Yeah.
And I think that we grew like unbelievably because of those board meetings.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe something that we should look at by maybe changing the format of the board you can't afford, that we could, no, as you say, not just women, right? But if we can help women, then that's great. But maybe we could do something with that.
So something I read, Anna, which makes your point, was that it's a UK stat, but women-led startups were 54% of all startups in the UK in 2025, but 61% of them never got to the scale up.
Yeah.
So there's, and I know you know this, and that's why you're passionate about it. So anything we can do and we're running the scale up programs, and we're desperate for more. We did a shout out today. We're starting the new one in January. We're desperate, and we've had some brilliant women coming through it, but
not enough. Yeah, look,
there's a scarcity.
There is, but I think there's other things we could do that would help fuel that. But we want more. I just want all scale-ups to be coming through, whether it's your program, other complementary programs. We need to do more for our scale-ups. I mean, you've obviously highly successfully scaled your businesses, but, starting a business, inverted commas, is relatively easy compared to scaling. I mean, it's so hard to scale a business. And it was really painful when I did it. And, what we need is to create an environment which makes it easier, because it's not easy. And it's not just about the money. I mean, investment across the board is key, and it's really tight just now. It's very challenging. Climate, that scale up, that investment hurdle is a bit further down the line now for many founders who thought they would get access to investment by reaching these key milestones, and what they're being told is, oh no, actually the goalposts have moved and it's a bit further now. So there's a lot of challenge around that. But the actual talent piece, there's so many factors, but there's so many things we could be doing. I really am quite optimistic about the things that we could do. And, it's collaborating more with organisations like Scale Up Scotland. And there's so many organisations in Scotland that are doing great things. Well,
because you now look across the whole landscape.
Yeah, there are a lot of organisations, but you always have to assume that's because there's a gap and people are trying to fill a gap. Yeah. So if you can start to identify what the gaps are, and then you pull these organisations and get them a bit more aligned.
But we've got to judge them on their outputs.
Of course we do.
Anna.
Yes.
There's too many, I think, playing at it. Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah. And therefore, and then they moan the government's not backing them, but the government's got a difficult job because they need to pick the winners, and this is hard. But let's just say, here's how we judge you, and we'll judge you by your outputs. Then it takes the whole, maybe
does.
And selection process a bit easier.
Certainly agree that, we need to create better performance metrics. I don't necessarily actually want to lay that at the door of a lot of the organisations. I think Scottish Government could, really optimise what they're doing and digitise a lot of the stuff they're doing, which makes life a lot easier for everyone, but it also makes it easier to track and, see how organisations are actually getting on, what the end, we care about the founders. We should be loving our founders and their journey. So right now, we're very focused on them and the pre-start and the startup, and those stats are really quite impressive. Scotland has, the Scottish Government under Mark Logan's, programme as well, that they have, we're scaling at one of the fastest rates in terms of startups in Europe now. Although we were lagging, we are definitely in the game now, and that has changed dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years. So that's really exciting. But what we don't want to do is then lead them to this precipice and then not help handhold them to the next part of the journey. And programs like yours and the many others are trying to make that create a bridge to that scale up. But there's so many opportunities we could take advantage of that I think, I'm quite optimistic about how we might do that. And there's a few initiatives that we're already doing, just some of them small, some of them, more impactful in terms of scale. But it's the combination of those that will have the bigger impact. Yeah.
It's funny, although we're a big business, we've got 2 initiatives going on at the moment. We're landing another big contract, which is a huge business in its own, beyond 50 million, and then having to start again to put the building blocks for that, which I look at as a start-up. Yeah. And then obviously what we're trying to do in housing, we're hoping to employ another 400 people in the next few months. All of these, I would say to you, Anna, that my observation so far is that if these were businesses out on their own, the barriers would be, how do you get the funds to scale up for all that training? But secondly, the biggest barrier is the talent.
Yeah.
Where's the talent?
Totally.
Where do I go and get the new MD, the new CF? All of that stuff is the problem.
Agree. Absolutely agree.
So what we were talking about earlier about golden visas and attracting good people into the country.
Turn the tables on Trump.
Yes. yeah.
Well, I don't know if you were at the gaming convention, the DICE, last week. But,
no.
Amazing. I mean, the world of gaming descended on Edinburgh.
Brilliant.
And
so that was Chris van der
Kyle.
Yeah.
And I mean, a shout out to Scottish Government. That was a great collaboration.
Right.
And, put Scotland fully on the map as a place to invest, a place to actually base yourselves. I mean, the amount of Americans came up to me and said, I think we're going to move here.
Brilliant.
We were thinking of moving to Portugal, but actually we're going to move here because this is a place that I know.
I was thinking of putting my house up for sale. Do you get any names there?
But I'm not trivialising. I'm just saying it's brilliant.
But Anna, we have a go to government, right, when we think. So to listen about, in the short time you've been in post, right, and you've obviously given credit to Mark for what you've done previously, but we love this, right? You're having a go. You had a conference for women. You've had a conference for gaming. So well done to the government. Well done if they've got behind that and they're doing it. And well done to the government in the appointment, right? So suddenly now someone in a position is seen to be doing something, right? It doesn't matter what the outcomes are. At least you're trying. Yes. Whereas in the past,
it doesn't matter what the outcomes are.
Yeah, right.
It does.
No, but I'm saying if it does come, but at the moment we're not doing anything, so we don't know about the outcomes.
Yeah.
I have not seen a stat, right? And all the time that position was out there. Right? So you've just told us about how well Mark, we never knew. Yeah. Have you ever seen an announcement? Have you ever seen anything that's been done in the back of this position?
So on that, Anna, what does success look like for you in this position?
I mean, creating a thriving startup, scale up economy, make Scotland one of the leaders. Honestly, I think we've got huge potential.
How are we going to measure it? Come on, you're an entrepreneur. You've been there and done it. If any board and you come out just with words and not goals that are measurable.
Well, totally around how many scale-ups are growing, how many companies how many people are employing. I think that's a slight red herring because you've got these amazing companies that are starting that might not have loads of employees, but they are Scottish. They're Scottish.
Yeah.
I also think one of the big, when I was speaking to one of your colleagues around Scale Up recently, I was just asking a challenge around, what kind of companies are coming to the Scale Up programme, because we need to work better with organisations like yours, as in Scottish Government, I'm absolutely sure want to, but also with
we
other
don't really
entities.
Want to.
Well, I know you don't, but
frankly, we just got on with it ourselves.
Yeah, but
the government would slow us down, Anna.
Okay, but I won't slow you down.
You won't slow us down.
I think there's other.
But we don't need anything from government. I'll ask government when I want something.
Yeah.
I don't have high expectations, and I'm never disappointed. But I don't need them for this.
Yeah.
We can get on with it. I'm willing to fund it. I'm willing to do everything. Willie comes and speaks. We get brilliant people come and talk about it. So, but I will ask, if I've got to ask a government, of course I do ask them, but I don't need them in this.
No, I know you don't, Tom, but there's other organisations and other programmes that I think are quite innovative that will complement your programmes.
But Tom doesn't realise the principle behind geese your money, but don't geese your advice. You know what I mean?
Well, be open-minded to things, because honestly, I think the collaboration element, I think, is a key. It's a must-have for us to work better and get better outcomes, for sure.
So we are open to you, Anna.
Good.
You're the acceptable face of government.
Well, I've only got one toe inside the tent. Don't forget, I'm still an entrepreneur at heart. So,
but I think in the short period you've been in position that you obviously. We waxed lyrically about how good Scale Up is. So in the short time you've been there, you've had 2 conferences, right? You've helped Scale Up, right? So I would certainly say that I can sit here now and after 4 years of asking, what does the entrepreneur was got? They're actually doing something. So I'm sure that will help the outputs, right? Something is getting done. I can see.
Well, I that's really good to hear. There's so much more to do, and we're just on the edge of starting something. I think that has been the foundations of the
edge.
So edge, right? Okay, well, the edge is perfect. But even just little things like you look at the people that have gone through Edge and the Scale Up programme.
I love it.
But what I would say is only like 20% of those fit the clusters that are currently our high growth targets that the government support.
Yeah, the government
There's some incredible...
We don't have these clusters.
Yeah, but there's some
If you're good enough, you're on our programme.
Yeah, there's some
We're sector agnostic.
Yeah.
We're about the founder.
Yes.
And the Scottish Government should be as well.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you, Tom.
You hear me?
And also, I believe that the conference you had in Edinburgh was sold out. You couldn't. It was the hottest ticket.
It was totally sold out.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that's great news.
Nothing better than having, attendees. There's a FOMO element, but you know what? It was just what that was the power of just getting people engaged, working together. Yeah. Just let's do this. So I think I said in my last interview with you guys, I said, I have a fear of doing nothing. I really hate the idea of not doing something.
Oh, you're not.
I'm sort of living that every day because, I think it was Anita Roddick said something like, if I'm not able to do something for the public good, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So that's
one of my
mission.
heroines.
Well, I was one of the very few female leaders that in my era that was visible.
Really?
And she was a game changer on every level.
Absolutely.
And now we've got so many more out there. But there's some
brilliant investors in Body Shop.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And there's incredible businesses in Scotland. There's Wordsmith, there's all these amazing organisations that are coming out of Scotland, and we just need to make sure they succeed. But they're domestic companies. We want them to be growing and not just being acquired. We want them to be acquiring themselves and make sure Scotland, is the HQ.
So just on the short time I've got left, probably into that camera.
Yes.
Anna's manifesto for entrepreneurship in Scotland. It's all yours.
Oh my God. Well, I think Scotland has got a huge opportunity to capitalise on the sort of organisations that are out there, the startups and the scale-ups. We've started the journey. We've got great foundations. We're on to the next stage. And on that stage is I'm looking to engage with as many organisations in the private sector to actually create that momentum that delivers the reality of more investment into Scotland, because that's going to be a private sector activity. The government's job is to facilitate, convene, and align with the private sector to then put those together. You will have a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem and you will get economic growth, which is, of course, the ultimate goal.
What we all want. And it's a pleasure to have you back on. We wish you all the best in your new role. You seem to be making great strides early on, so good luck.
Thank you, Willie, and thanks, Tom.
Anna, I'm delighted you're in position. Please stay a little bit longer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Go Radio Business Show with Trywire.com.
Tom.
Yes.
Brilliant guest on the board you can't afford this week.
Hello.
Caroline Meikle, who is the MD of Pitman Training. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the Madhouse, Caroline.
Very pleased and slightly in awe to be here in your new set.
The pleasure
really cool.
You can't hide money, can you?
No.
Willie has gone down the back of the couch and he has got this CapEx. Wow.
It is wow.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Wait till my accountant see the spend. Caroline, thanks for coming on. Tell us a wee bit about yourself and then we'll get to your question.
Okay. Well, Pitman Training was founded 185 years ago. I didn't start
You
the
weren't
company.
there, no?
I wasn't there at that time. I know I could have been.
Just get it straight.
Just
Wow.
to avoidance of doubt there. I wasn't there. By a guy called Sir Isaac Pitman who invented shorthand.
Right.
All right.
And shorthand's a way of
Did you know that?
recording verbatim notes.
Yeah.
We roughly speak about 70 words per minute. My husband would say I speak 120.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all about education and learning. So I was a product of Easterhouse. So I didn't go to university. Very few people did back in the day.
So you're brought up in Easterhouse.
Just brought up in Easterhouse.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Okay.
very much.
Used to have a shop out there
Aye.
Did you?
in the shopping centre. What was the shopping centre called?
Barwardy, was it?
Aye.
Aye.
There's still Willie Lowe's there as well.
Right.
That's
Willie
right.
Lowe's
I
was
used to
there,
work in
yeah.
Willie Lowe's there, yeah.
That was the same shopping centre I was
Yeah,
in.
it's I think it was one of the first shopping centres in Europe, actually, in Easterhouse.
Yeah.
But there you go, in the East End of Glasgow. So I didn't have a formal education, so I was always sort of drawn to somewhere that provided non-college or university an option for somebody to go to.
So was there MD in your family that had been in business or anything?
No.
No?
My dad worked for newspapers. My mum was just a pharmacist. Well, just a pharmacist.
Pharmacist?
She was a pharmacist.
Great job.
So, yeah, great dancer.
Was she?
She was a great.
I think I remember her.
Up the Savoy, Willie.
The Suave Salve. Yes.
Saturday night special.
We're all of a certain age. We can almost remember that.
So what size is Pitman Training today?
There's 90 centres worldwide.
Are there?
90.
Wow.
Yeah. And Glasgow's an award-winning centre.
Fantastic.
Right. So is it like a franchise?
Yes, the franchise. So
Right.
I've got Glasgow and Edinburgh. So it's
So how did you get into it then?
I worked for them, first of all.
So
for
you were
10
there,
years.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I left and joined another training company which dealt mainly in health and safety, what I call forceful training courses. You have to go in the first aid
you've
course.
got
So
to go,
I didn't
yes.
enjoy that as much, to be honest. That wasn't very
Right.
sexy for me. So Pitman training is much more about vocational, getting people their dreams, their aspirations, instead of having to think of, I must go to college or university. You have got other options, and we are that other option. And the great thing is we can get the qualifications sooner than going to university for 4 years and get people into the workforce, get them, working and get them productive.
I'm always interested in the journey of how you're an employee and then you make the big step, and it is a big step, about being a business owner. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I think in Glasgow and Edinburgh particularly, the owners had been there for quite some time. They hadn't invested in the business. So I was a wee bit fed up by the time I'd left it.
Right.
So during that...
So you thought you could do better.
I thought they could do better.
Excellent.
So they lost me and I went to another training
The dark
company,
side.
the dark side of compliance training, and was very bored. And they then decided that they were old enough to retire, and it was just the right timing. So that's how it sort of fell upon it. But I never at any thought, I'm going to fail, because I knew the product really well. I believed in the people as well. And the teams that we have working in Glasgow and Edinburgh are like family. We look after each other. We're up for an award in Glasgow's awards for Best Fair and Healthy Workplace. So we look after people well, and we treat our students like our family as well.
Wow.
Because we're all together in
So
this.
how many people would go, in a year, how many people would go through as trainers?
In Glasgow, we've got 400 private students,
Wow.
Edinburgh 300, and they could be studying anything from accountancy to data analytics. We've also got a huge corporate division that deals with personal development and IT stuff. The IT stuff could be Power BI, Excel. The personal development stuff could be communication skills, train the trainer, presentation skills, assertiveness.
Very good.
All the stuff you need.
So would big companies maybe have the level below the C-suite? Would companies send people to you for
Yeah,
a week?
absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So a lot of we've just trained people from Barclays in leadership skills. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
we do.
Right. So take a wee minute before we get to your question to tell the viewers and the listeners how they can use your services. Time for an advert.
Come on, Caroline. Your time to shine.
Well, I just want you to know at Pitman Training, we're well looked after. We are a family of people that really care about your qualifications. We want you to know that Pitman Training are an alternative to going to college or university, and we can get you that qualification quicker and help you with your employability journey in terms of helping with your CV, your LinkedIn profile, and we've even got a job board. So please come to Pitman Training.
How can you get in touch?
0141 223 0090, or go to the Pitman Training Scotland website.
Brilliant.
Bosh.
Brilliant. What is your question for the board you can't afford?
Okay.
I hope it's an easy one.
Well, I had two questions, but I've been...
Go on, you go. On you go. Like to.
Well, I'll tell the important one first. You've called out the Scottish Government to be bold and brave when it comes to leadership and accountable. What do you see as the biggest weakness of the modern corporate and political leadership currently? And if it was your ball, what would you do with it?
Wally, one for you, I think.
One for me.
Labour peer.
I know.
I would just like people to have more courage in their conviction. Right? If they've got something that they should, if they want to deliver, especially like we talked about a crisis. Right? So if there's a crisis in housing, go on and go, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to put my head above the parapet. I'm going to try everything I can. If I don't succeed, I'm going to get my head chopped off, but that's okay. I'm going to die trying.
Yeah.
Rather than going in and tweaking the edges. And I think that we've said that the new cabinet secretary is just in place. So we have to give her time. We have to give her help. But if she can do that, and all I would say is, see, if you do that, you will be remembered. Right? We've mentioned it in the past. The only politician that people talk about fondly for 100 years ago today is John Wheatley. right? There's only one guy, and that was all about housing, right? So I'm saying that there's a great opportunity. So to answer your question, definitely, I remember Tony Blair, name drop him, Tony Blair saying that his biggest regret in his first term was that he wasn't bold enough.
Right.
And I think that's what's wrong today. People are just happy to go with things the way they are rather than try, the word that everyone is not try to disrupt.
Right.
And I think we need, at the moment, we need some really intelligent disruptors.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great answer. I really think in our political leadership, what we, so the voters, want is honesty.
Transparency.
And I think if a politician's honest with us, and I think politicians are always frightened to say, I don't know the answer to that, but let me go and find out. So let's, in our leadership positions, we're only successful with the people that surround us. It actually isn't, him and I don't actually do the job. We find the people to do the job. So ours is a convening thing. And I've always wondered about political leadership, and I question it every week. Why don't you say, right, I don't know about that, but let's get the people who know about housing in the room. Now, I know politicians are voted for, but they can take all this info and then make the decision and not be, the other thing that happens is the fear of failure. Because if you're a politician and you set a target, the opposition goes, you didn't do it. But I think, as Willie said in the earlier part of the show today, just say, look, we've got a housing crisis. I'm going to bring in people who really understand this, but it's my job to make a decision. I understand that. And we're going to try our best. We're going to try our best. And I really believe in learning by doing. So you learn by getting on with things. But the downside of that is you've got to be prepared to fail. That's what we coach in our scale up thing. Learn by doing it. Give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? You'll fail. We'll fail quick, fail cheap, and learn from it and get on with it. And I think politicians don't think they're allowed to fail. And therefore, they say they want to give you an answer for everything. And I don't expect the First Minister of Scotland to have the answer to everything, but I do expect the First Minister of Scotland to be a bold enough leader to go, let's find people who do know the answer to that. And let's listen, let's learn, and let's try our best.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, absolutely agree. I think you do need to be bold and brave in leadership. There's no point. That's your team are looking at you. And if you're whispering in the corner or trying to find a middle ground everywhere, you'll never make a change. You'll never make a difference. So absolutely concur with that.
What's your second question?
My second question is about your banter. Having listened to your show quite so many times, I think a lot of people in your position might not be so free and easy about being able to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And I think humour is a great bonding tool in business as well. First of all, do you take yourselves very seriously? I think I know the answer.
I don't take him seriously.
As someone once said, where would we be without humour? I think it's Edinburgh. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would be.
But I don't think we take ourselves too serious. I think that if you can't have fun, I say to people who work for me, if the only reason that you work for us is because you get paid at the end of the month, come and talk to us and we'll help you look for a job, because that's an existence, that's not a job. So I would say that the banter happened because we've kind of similar saying that we can laugh at ourselves. And I think, just come back to the last question, and we'd say this to everybody about being scared to fail. We could be on here for hours and hours and hours talking about the times we failed.
Absolutely.
Right? Hours and hours. We could fill 10 programmes. And what we're saying to the politicians is, remember that. Right? But unfortunately, the media, people know you get judged straight away, but take it on your stride.
Yeah.
Be thick-skinned and say, here's what we're going to do. But I think on the second question about the banter, I think the show would be boring if we didn't have that bit of humour. A lot of people who watch it and write to us and say things, they love the interaction, But we haven't worked out yet who the straight man is, right? But we're working we're working on that. But good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
I think, good leaders don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
If you're all buttoned up and it's all like, come on now, then your team feel that and they're all a bit, where if you're going, and the best thing a leader can do is to say, I don't know the answer. Or, right, I got that wrong. You know, and then it gives your team permission to say, well, I got that wrong.
Yeah, you're human.
And
you make mistakes.
Everybody relaxes a little bit, you know, and I have studied this. I've read so many books on it, but, you know, Willie is a comedian. I want to be his manager when he goes on the road because I'm going to make my second fortune, or my third fortune, because I lost a fortune. And, but Willie is naturally funny. I think it's a Glaswegian thing. Down in Ayrshire, we're a bit more serious.
Brilliant. Caroline, thank you so much. Great question. Sounds like a wonderful business, right? Good luck for the future. I hope you get a few people who will see this, listen to this today, and they'll come and use your services.
You should come and visit us and we'll give you a wee free course.
Yeah, okay. Well, where's your Glasgow office?
Gordon Street, 8 Gordon
well,
Street.
I promise you, we'll get people to arrange it. I will come.
Okay.
There you go.
Any coconut buns?
Yeah. Definitely coconut buns.
Brilliant.
So, Caroline, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I hope you win all the awards for Glasgow and Edinburgh.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Tom, brilliant show this week. Fantastic guests. Hope all the listeners and the viewers are going to enjoy this. And we can't wait again to talk to you next week.
Brilliant. And listen, the Go Radio Business Show is all about jobs and growth and supporting you in your journey as you make Scotland great again.